to grab lunch.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to get this started.
I will be back.
Okay.
Everything's either on this shelf or on the table.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There's a good start of things. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to get started with the pit firing for 2021. It's May. We're going to have a fabulous pit firing here. You can see our pit behind us. This is really the noborigama chamber of the dancing fire wood kiln. But basically, a pit firing takes place most often in a relatively small hole in the ground. I've done them very large, very small, but you can do it. I think a nice size is 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide, 4 feet across. And so I often will dig a hole for my pit. And in this case, I can do it above ground in just a brick box like this. And there's it's just very convenient to not have to dig the hole. So that's what we're going to do. And pit firing is the beginnings of all firing in a sense. Before pit firing, we're going back 30,000 years, there was field firing. There was basically clay on the ground covered with grass, lit on fire, and that would harden the clay a little bit. And some of the lower fire earthenwares, that was a solid firing. You could get up to temperatures of maybe 900 to 1100 degrees. And then they began to fire with grass and maybe some wood on top. Some cultures were using animal dung as a way of both adding fuel, heat, and insulation, because the dung becomes, as it burns out, the ash of the dung is actually maintains its form and becomes insulating. So those were some variations that happened in different continents, but this whole idea of firing open on the ground, a field firing, was the beginning of firing. At some point, some cultures realized that you could dig into the ground, and that the ground would act as an insulation, and then you would start to get a little higher temperature, especially when they began to orient those pits so that the wind blew in one side and out the other. And so that began to get them more temperature. And, you know, reaching anywhere from 12 to maybe 14, 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. 1600 degrees would have been extraordinary at those times. So these were the ways that a lot of the pots in Africa were fired, and that's what we're going to do here. Only ours is a little bit of a different idea here. And here's the idea that we're concerned about here. What we're thinking about now is that we're thinking about this kind of decorating. What I have done for all of the pots is, first I gave them a bath, and that bath was salt dissolved in water with iron oxide and copper carbonate. And so it's a bath of iron, copper, and salt. And all of these are ingredients that, as we start to reach temperatures of 800 degrees or so, they begin to fume and soak into the clay and leave color. And so that's one thing that we have on here. And then there's not that much exotic things here. There are a few things. The fuzziness is stretched out and expanded steel wool, fine steel wool. And these leave beautiful either steel gray or rusty brown marks. And then you'll see some wire that is yellow gold in color, kind of brownish gold. That's copper. Actually, it's copperish. So it's copper wire, and that might leave, if we're lucky, a little bit of a linear mark. And then the steel wire wrapped around that is just functional. It's just there to hold everything in place as it burns up and doesn't allow it to fall away quite as quick. So all of our pots are decorated this way. Then we begin the loading of this pit here. In this case, this kiln. We load it by putting in sawdust, and that's what I'm going to do now. Is I'll put some sawdust in there. And sawdust has a number of functions for us. It does provide a decorative component. It will leave a black kind of zone on the bottom in most cases. And that will be done by the sawdust. The sawdust also cushions the pieces. And the other thing that the sawdust does is it allows me to put salt. This is rock salt up against the pieces. So I'll do that. A little bit of rock salt allows me to give a little bit more of a salt blush to the pieces as we work. So I'm going to start with some rock salt and some sawdust. Hey, Tilde. So the sawdust is in, the rock salt is going in. And now I'm cushioning the pieces, putting them in place.
So how are you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you doing, Tilde? I've just gotten started, and there isn't that much work to be concerned with. I've got maybe, I think I've got 8 pieces. Oh no, I'm sorry. I've got 12 pieces, maybe 13 to fire. So that's what I'm working with. And so I've just gotten started, and it's you and I at this point. Of course, the recording I'll post, and then people can look at that. So that's part of the plan. All right. So far we're just starting with the sawdust and the salt. I've described the decoration process. Kind of seems a little familiar, Tilde?
Yes, very familiar. Now the salt, are you putting that around the pots or just on the ground?
I'm putting it underneath and around. I never put it on top because it often won't get hot enough to fume completely. So if I leave it on top, it'll leave a kind of cakey residue, which is not attractive.
Have you ever tried aluminum foil, wrapping the pots in aluminum foil before?
I have seen people do that. That's a kind of Sager method. And it's a particularly good method, especially if you're not using wood. I've seen people do all the decorating that I do, and then wrap them in aluminum foil and then fire them in a gas or electric kiln. So they don't use any wood at all.
Okay.
And so all the fueling happens, and the foil keeps the effects nicely contained while they fume into the pot. So that's a good way to go. You don't want to exceed 1100 degrees or the aluminum foil will melt. And then your kiln is more radically affected. But since we have this beautiful wood to use, and that's a little bit more it's more authentic to be firing with wood, I think.
Yes. So what kind of salt are you using?
It's basic rock salt used in water softeners. It has the advantage of being really effective and super cheap. Here, I can show you.
Oh, yes.
You see that?
Yeah.
Simple rock salt. The nice thing, and I'm really going posh here. I stopped by a Western Feed Supply, and I buy a bag of sawdust, and it cost me about $8-10. Super posh. But you can use any sawdust you can get. You can go into a wood shop and ask for it. So this piece here, I don't know if you've seen this one before. Do you have any interest in having this laying on its side and getting a black mark along the side, or you want the black at the bottom? What do you think?
Well, I had asked you about putting that one in the wood fire.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, well, this is a good time then. So this and the head, I would assume.
Yes.
Okay. Nice timing, Tilde. I have no recollection of that, but the decoration that I've got on it so far, I mean, we'll take off the wire and the steel wool, but the decoration won't, there's a little spray paint and such that'll only enhance it. It won't hurt it at all.
I'm not worried about it. It looks beautiful job you did.
Yeah, well, it actually looks beautiful because of the job you did.
Thank you. You're so kind.
Okay. We have a couple of beautiful blizzard pots.
Yes, I noticed. Do you have any of you work there?
Not in this firing.
This is all fine.
I did put a jug head in the jug head firing, and I did some black rock cookie bowls.
How did the jack heads came out?
What's that?
How did the jack heads came
Jug
out?
head came out beautifully. Oops,
Okay.
there was somebody here and they went away. I don't know who that was.
Oh yeah, there was.
Jug heads came out great. But your arrival today was very timely.
Good. Did you use more copper this time?
Not really. Maybe, you mean more spray paint?
Yes.
It's possible. I've found that in the past, I would like put down pieces of wood and washers and bits of metal to create different patterns. And this time I more just sprayed it randomly on the surfaces and kept it a little more feathered and soft. No particular upside or downside for that. So we are now loaded. That is can you see in there?
Yes, I definitely can see. They look beautiful.
Yeah, so they're all ready to go. And then, you know, I can, because I'm so close to it, I could do this more carefully, but I mean, I could lay the wood in carefully. But if I were doing this in an actual pit, if I were doing this in a pit in the ground, I would want a layer of crumpled newspaper to protect the pieces from getting broken or chipped by the wood. So I'll just take some time here and crumple some newspaper.
I see some videos on YouTube when they're doing pit fires, and they do, yes, a lot of paper and a lot of soft branches, the very thin ones. They put a whole bunch of those as a layer as well.
So soft, so branches with leaves on them and things, or?
Oh, sometimes with leaves, but kind of like a shredded mulch. It almost looked like a shredded mulch.
Oh, right. You know, it's all worth experimenting with. Everything worth trying. My approach and methods developed over years of working with the students here, and eventually led to the wood kilns. So you never know where it's going to go. So this must be a really scintillating part where you watch me crumpling newspaper.
I wish I can help you.
I wish you could too. I won't, you know, more normal, less crazy time is very much welcome. I'm really excited about the wood fire class, and I'm having some better thoughts about how we're going to teach it.
Okay.
And all the kind of communication and reading and learning and all that stuff will be online. And then we'll still come together on Fridays, and that'll be involved with preparation and making things. And I think we'll be able to split the class in half. And half will be in the lab working on their own stuff, and the other half will be out here working on preparing the kiln for firing.
That sounds exciting.
And I don't know if you heard, but the school is just a bit nervous about a 7-day firing, which I guess makes some sense because we've got to remember not to read the newspaper. as I do this. But it makes some sense that they'd be nervous about it, because as you get more, you know, kiln lagged and tired, you might be too loose and make mistakes with social distancing. So we're going to do 3 firings in this kiln, 2 or 3 firings in the little kiln rather than the big kiln.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Now, not changing the conversation, but did you fix your piece?
Yes,
Good.
I built it. I built it back up, and it looks different, but it's definitely unlike any piece I've ever made. There was a point at which I took a saw to part of it. It was a new technique for me. Not actually, it's not a new technique, but it was unique for this piece. As far as the exhibition in Davis goes, there's, let's see, somebody's just joined us. Hey,
Yeah.
Sylvie.
Hello. I just have a little time to check in.
Good. Before I go any further, you can see, in fact, isn't that your piece in the front there?
Yes,
There you go.
cool.
So it's sitting on a bed of sawdust covered with rock salt.
Nice.
And the piece itself has been dipped in a bath of salt water with copper and iron,
Uh-huh.
and then randomly sprayed with copper spray paint, wrapped with copper wire and with steel wool.
Nice.
And that's what the preparations are. And then what we're doing now is I'm putting in crumpled newspaper. Normally when I'm doing a pit in the ground, I use crumpled newspaper because that will protect the pieces from the wood. Here I can be really gentle with the wood because I'm at the same level as the pot, but just it's kind of nice to be cautious. And so I will build this out this way. And that way, when I start putting the wood on, the pieces are protected. So now I'm going to start laying wood in. Get my anti-splinter control. I was starting to talk. I have this show going on in Davis.
Yeah, I want to get there this
So
month.
there's the 15th, starting at 2 p.m. There is a Zoom lecture.
Yeah,
Famous Mark Lancet talking about his artwork. And that'll be a lot about the reasons and the ideas behind the pieces. And then that's the 15th, which is what, this Saturday. And then I'm going to do we're going to have an artist in the gallery day, kind of a reception. That'll be face to face with social distancing. And that's May 22nd, which is the following Saturday.
oh,
And you can actually come see the show and I'll be there. And then finally on June 2nd, I'm going to offer a workshop on Zoom, probably the most efficient workshop you'll ever have taken. They give me about an hour and a half. And I wanted to show people how I make these figures, which a medium-sized one takes me 5 days. So I've done some stop action photography and turned a 5-day process into about 25 minutes. So you definitely have to get some coffee. so you be sure to pay attention. But it goes by really fast, but you can actually see everything I do to make a figure. I think it'll be good. We'll have to wait and see how the reviews are.
What date did you say for that? June 2nd?
What's that? June 2nd. And it's all on, if you go to pencegallery.org, it's all listed on their site. So you can see I'm just laying in wood and I'm being careful now. Once the wood starts to build up, the pieces are less at risk of being chipped or broken. Just got to build. As we go, I'll build the door, the wall here, the brick wall up in the door. And it doesn't need to be super perfectly tight, which makes it go very fast compared to when we're doing wood fire. When we do wood fire doors, it takes a long time to get the door up.
How long did you say this firing will last?
What's that?
How long did you say this firing will last?
It's usually 3 to 5 hours. I will light it and then let it burn. When I light it, I use lighter fluid. And that's super important because wood doesn't typically like to burn down. It burns up. So because we need it to burn from the top down, I'll put lighter fluid on the top to make sure I get a really good burn going. And then I'll leave some space at the very top of the kiln, very top of the door, so I can put some more wood in. And that will, and then I'll feed wood in the top for maybe an hour or so, just to build up a bit more fuel and charcoal.
Wow.
And then it's pretty much done in terms of work. Then the fire has to do all the work after that.
Hmm. So how long before it cools to the level of opening and emptying?
It'll be ready tomorrow,
Wow.
which I think, isn't that when we're picking this up? Is it tomorrow or is it? I'm trying to think when. When's the last pickup day? Can you guys tell?
Was it May 20th?
Yeah, something like
May
that.
20th or May 29th? No, it can't be 29th. That's too late. Anyway, we'll figure it out. I think it's tomorrow. So we'll be actually, yeah, I'll be able to take this stuff out tomorrow.
I'll check. Calendar.
May 20th.
Yeah, isn't that tomorrow?
No, that's a week from.
Oh, that's
Actually,
sorry, a week from, so it'll be nice.
It's a Thursday, next week, Thursday.
So you'll come, your jug heads are all fired. You'll be able to come pick those up.
Awesome. Hmm.
A super enjoyable door to build because it just requires no precision. I don't have to spend time trying to fill little gaps. So it just goes together really quickly. And it's just, you just overlap, you get a pattern going that overlaps the seams, and that gives you enough strength for the bricks to hold up firing, not fall over. Any questions or comments, thoughts, political observations?
Rather not.
Have you seen the satellites that have been flying around?
The what?
All the satellites that have been flying around?
I have not. What is that about?
I don't know, some company who had like 60 satellite dishes all in the road. So if you're lucky enough and you're out looking at night, they look like pearls moving across the sky.
Right, that's SpaceX is the company.
Yeah, there you go.
Told me about it. She walked out and saw them right over our house, right in Davis. That's Elon Musk and SpaceX, the Tesla guy. He's doing that. Okay, so now the pots are, the wood is about a foot down, so I can just start filling again. And I've started the filling with this these pine limbs, and then I have some mahogany strips that were given to us by a furniture company, and that's what I'll go with next.
Hmm. So how do you get your wood for the wood firing class? You must go through crazy amounts.
Yeah, we use a lot of wood in the wood fire class. Get going on that. We're going to get very familiar with wood. I have this idea for spring. I usually don't offer the wood firing class in the spring, but I'm thinking about trying to offer it in the spring because we're that's when we're going to have this big ceramics conference. And I thought it might be great to see if I could get a couple of renowned wood fire artists to come.
Oh, wow.
Conference. We're going to be in town for the conference. If I can raise enough money to pay their expenses and give them a fee, I could have them come with us. And
So the wood firing class is the same thing. You can only take it once.
yeah, it's the same one. But what we could do, we might be able to make it a special circumstance. It would be very cool if by then we managed to get over. You can see the wood has changed its quality here.
Mhm.
it would be very cool if we could get over, if we're over the COVID stuff by then. We could actually have that class be some kind of special celebratory return.
Yeah.
Our departments are so diminished with enrollment and funding.
Mhm.
I used to have 7 or 8 classes going every semester. I would just be teaching 3 of them. So that was an additional 4 adjuncts. And now it's just going to be me.
Wow.
I think I'm kind of thinking of Joe Biden. What did he say? Build back better? I think that's what we're going to have to do.
Oh, unfortunately, I have to split, but I'll try to check in a little bit.
Starting off, Julia? Whoops. Let's see. Are you signing off?
Yeah, I need to go, but I'll check in later if I can.
Okay, and I'll post this recording
Okay.
on the class there. I just want to change the view here, so I want
Okay.
it to be speaker view here. Let's see.
All
Let's
right. Well, see you guys.
see you later. Thanks for stopping in.
Bye.
You've gotten the gist of it. Why can't I get the view to? There's a nice image of my eyeball. Let's see. Come on. Come on. Crazy. Okay, somebody named iPhone is here. Who is iPhone? Let's see. Who has joined us? I don't know why I can't get the view to change, but just do that.
Hey, Mark.
Who's that? Is that Ken? Hello. Who is it that comes in with the iPhone signature there? It's really bright out here, so I can't see my computer screen enough to, I want to get speaker view. So this recording is a little bit more interesting, but don't think I can do that. For some reason, my computer isn't responding. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm going to continue loading wood here. Let's see what happens if I. Okay, it's not responsive. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good, okay. For some reason, my screen, none of my Zoom buttons are working. But if you can hear me and see me, then that's all, that's the big picture. Okay, I'm gonna go on with the loading of the wood. So, whoever has just joined under the moniker of iPhone, what you're seeing is I'm throwing wood into the kiln, which is serving as my pit. The bottom of the kiln on the floor is a layer of wood sprinkled with rock salt. And then the decorated pots are placed on top of that. So we are currently up to, that's 3 wheelbarrows of wood. Any questions? We're probably about 5 minutes away from lighting this. 10 minutes from lighting.
This is pretty interesting, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna light it all on fire soon. That'll be exciting.
I know. I'm really looking forward to that.
Now I think we'll just take the wall up a little higher. Oh, okay. So I'll be right back in a second. I've got to go ask Kat to do something. And then if you have any exciting questions that come to mind, you just pop them out when I get back. Okay, so that was an important detail, which I can explain. Let's see. Oh, I figured out what the problem was. There we go. Let's see, that's the, there we go. And I think I can pin that, but we'll see. So the problem I was having, or the problem that I remembered, so there's a bit of a breeze. It's May, we're into high temperatures. This is pretty prime fire season. So if the neighbors start seeing a cloud of smoke in the sky, which could happen, they might call the fire department. If they call the fire department will have to send a truck. So we call the fire department first and our local sheriff, the county sheriff who provides security here, so that they know when they get these calls, it's us and we're making a little smoke or a lot of smoke. The Cordelia Fire Department has no choice. They have to come and check out any report. But if they have a call from us, they know what it is, most likely. And so they don't have to come with sirens and charging through intersections, which sometimes causes very serious accidents. So we can avoid that to be a little safer.
All that stuff makes it the more intriguing, Mark.
Again?
All of that stuff you just mentioned, makes it all that much more intriguing.
All right.
Not that we want to see anybody get hurt.
No.
Not that we want to see you burn the school down.
We want to have as much community goodwill as we can in these things. When we teach the wood fire class, we get to meet the fire department quite often.
No kidding.
You know, after we had, you know, the bad run of, we had such bad fire season, we got a lot of calls. I think one firing that came out 3 times. But because we called them, they weren't charging through intersections, then it wasn't nearly as life-threatening for them to come through, because people die in those situations.
I'm sure some guys over there at the fire department, they see the smoke above your school and they're probably just saying, oh, that's Mark over this kiln.
Yeah, they know about it.
Yeah, they know about you.
When we're doing the wood fire class, it's nice to have a little food around for that. Feed them when they get here. It'll be really nice when we're through this COVID crazy. Get back to our usual hospitable selves. Okay. We put the door up a little bit, then I'm going to put some lighter fluid on it. We often do a lighting ceremony. I think in this case, I would like to ask you each to think about what you might have to say about your experiences over the last year and a half with this COVID stuff. Any comments you might have to say about that? So, as we get ready, here, we're getting close. I think that's pretty good for now. This is a very traditional, dates all the way back to ancient wood fire traditions. Again, as I was explaining earlier, the lighter fluid serves a real function. And that is, we have this wonderful stack of wood, and it does not want to burn downwards. It wants, I mean, it wants to burn up. Fire burns up. So it's sometimes hard to get a good fire going. And so I need to make sure we get a really good start. Tilde, you want to make any offerings about what you've learned in the COVID experience in the last year and a half?
Well, the only thing that I learned is that I really hate those face masks.
I agree. They are not comfortable. How about you, Ken? Mr. iPhone, are you still there?
I think we lost them.
I may have lost him. Well, I'll tell you, Tilde, what I've learned. You know, there's a lot of obvious negatives. I mean, the horrible chaos and mayhem and people dying and losing jobs and not being able to see one another. It's all been very difficult in that way. But what I'm surprised about, I mean, I learned a lot of things I didn't know about myself. I had no idea I could teach online. I had no plan ever to do that. So that's been interesting. And in order to do that, I had to just check all my assumptions at the door rather than grumble and think, oh, this is terrible. I had to kind of accept it as perhaps, you know, this could be okay. I can just be a beginner and learn how to do it. So, and I think I'm so impressed with the courage and tenacity of my students to hang in there and make it work. And on that note, whoa, I lost you guys. Let's get you
No,
back.
you're still there.
Okay. On that note, oh, you couldn't see me adding so I put in all the lighter fluid.
I saw that.
With no further ado, I'm going to light it. So here we go, folks. You're here for this.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Let there be, and there was.
Ooh, careful.
Now, I have cut off the chimney. So the chimney's blocked. and all the dampers are out. So it's pretty much just a box. So all this is the main source of oxygen. So the flame is coming out this way. I will put more brick in there in a little bit, but I want to load some more wood.
Oh.
But I'd say we got a good start going, wouldn't you?
Definitely, it looks beautiful. Ironically,
What's that?
I said it looks beautiful, ironically, because we're so afraid of fires right now.
Right, right. I'm going to grab a little bit more wood. Okay, things are heating up a little bit. So just a little technical suggestion, rubber gloves, not a great choice. Good for
I
wood
was-
before you light it. But I think I'm going to have to shift to some leather gloves now.
I was wondering if those were specialty gloves that you could use around fire.
They're specialty gloves for using around the garden. Let me see if I can find some. So I'm gonna just keep putting wood in here for another maybe 45 minutes or so, then I'll break it up, let it burn down slowly. And again, I mean, variations on this approach to firing happened all over the world, on every continent. In Africa, there are major potteries that are still firing in the firing method. And you can see that illustrated in your Canvas class. There's pictures of these enormous field firing, really beautiful. In Santa Fe or San Ildefonso, not too far from Santa Fe, New Mexico, the Native American potters, Maria Martinez and Copia Day, they would fire with dung. And they would start with a steel grate, and they put small pieces of wood and shavings underneath the grate. And then they'd put some steel plates down, like steel military dinner trays, those kind of sectional dinner trays. And then they would put the pots on top of that, cover them with more dinner trays and license plates and other pieces of sheet steel. Then they cover the whole thing with large dry cow pies to make a pile that would be about 4 feet high and 4 feet around. Fire their pots, which are very highly burnished, on fire. And when they got it to a very high temperature, once it had achieved, like in about an hour, hour and a half, once it had really all been burning hot, then they would smother the fire with very fine horse dung. Just powdered horse dung. You can see this. I think I've even posted a video of it on the Canvas. And the horse dung covers up the burning cow dung. It looks like. We still have flame there? Yeah, we still have flame. So the horse dung covers up the cow dung. And they want to completely cover up the cow dung and prevent any oxygen from getting in. Very important for their final product that no oxygen get in. So they cover it, and they can see if there's any flame or smoke that pops up, they cover it with more horse dung. Just shovel it on. Pile more and more horse dung, and that keeps the pots completely smothered in the dung. And the result is that the pots get super black. All the unburned carbon from the smothering soaks into the clay, and the pots turn very, very black.
They're very beautiful, yes.
But if you let any oxygen in, the pots turn red, or they get mottled red and black. And that's not their look, that's not their brand. So it is rather hot here. Sadly, you can't feel the flames in your face.
Are you keeping hydrated?
Ish. Yeah, I've got a little bit.
We lost iPhone.
What's that?
We lost iPhone. He left.
iPhone is gone. All right. Well, yeah, I think this semester I have a little bit less involvement than last semester. I think people are getting very tired of all of this COVID stuff.
Yes, I think we're desperate to go back to normal.
We are. I think we're starting to make some compromises that concern me. Now we're seeing some smoke. And that smoke is primarily because I blocked off a lot of the oxygen with all this wood I've put in. So I'll probably put in one more barrel, but I'll let it burn down a little bit first.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, Mark. It's amazing.
You bet. Well, folks like you make it worthwhile.
No. Well, you're a great professor, that's for sure.
Kind of you to say. So we are going to have that, well, we'll talk about that later. I'll send that out.
Oh, careful.
Have you seen Muna's new website?
No, she hasn't contacted me for a while.
Go look at munahalabi.com. Munahalabi.com. It's, you know, it's for the class that I'm working with her on.
That building your portfolio.
Right. Another website to check out. You still there?
Yes.
Jason Edmonds has built a really beautiful website. It's just beginning. All of us are kind of in our early days, but his called woodfire.art. I think you'd really enjoy visiting that one. And I will have one up probably in the next 2 weeks called lancetteaware.com. But it's not ready yet. It's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. They're not easy for sure.
No, there's some, I mean, so I have, I'm showing primarily tea bowls, and flower vases. And I think I might do fire paintings eventually. But I'm initially going to launch it with tea bowls and flower vases. And it takes you know, if I have seven, I think I have 7 different styles of tea bowls, and I have, you know, about 10 examples of each, and then I have 5 pictures of each one of those 10, or 6 pictures of each one of those 10. So it's it's a lot of data.
Yes, and a lot of photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Muna's website right now. It looks great.
Doesn't it? She just
Yes.
put in a process section with a couple of pictures of things in progress. We're getting a little more smoke now. On flame. Peter hasn't quite started melting though. I think it's close. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, really good work.
I've got my iPhone set on time-lapse photography. So this whole thing will probably make about a 2-minute video, and I'll try to post that on Instagram.
Okay. So on that note, I'll let you go.
Okay. Great
And
to be with you. Thanks for stopping by.
I will. Thank you so much again, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye.